Hello, Karen Bonafilio, Inner Realms, Outer Journeys. We have a guest today that is going to surprise you. I think you're going to find out some wonderful things about my friend Robert. Robert, would you like to say hello before I introduce you?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Okay, and I'm going to try to say his name right. This is Robert Zakian. Did I do it right?
Sounds good.
Okay, good. Robert Zakian. And Robert is an intuitive reader, and he aligns with his clients with energy helping them. So he's an energy worker. He helps them attain their purpose, release limitations, worry, and much more. He's going to help you expand your conscious awareness where one can transcend their false self and have a deeper understanding of their soul's journey. So doesn't that sound pretty cool? I think so. I think that for me personally, my thoughts, we are all on this earth for a journey and to evolve our souls. Jerks. Robert may be helping us clean up some of our past so we can move freely. Robert, I'm just going to ask you, I know you do work with the inner child. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about the work with the inner child?
In the 1970s, they were doing a lot of inner work with the child where the adult would go and meet their child and tell the adult how much they loved them and cared about them and that they would never leave. But the interesting thing about the inner child, what I found, is that the inner child has been aware of our journey since we were born. So in that time in the 70s, they were doing a lot of voice dialogue work. So in that voice dialogue, they would have the person relax, bring the child through their physical body, and often that child in the physical body would leave. The inner child would leave through the physical body. If that makes sense. In any case, so what I found out that when I work with somebody and they're in a child, I ask, what does the child want for the adult? So I have them make out there's a mirror. So I'll ask the child, well, how old are you? Well, I'm 5. Oh, so I'd ask the adult, well, how old are you? And well, let's say her name was Jane. And Jane would say, oh, I'm 50 years old. So then I would ask the 5-year-old, what do you want for Jane? And often it'll come out, well, I want her to be happy. So first thing is 5 years old when the child's shut down. So now the child wants the adult to be happy. So now we need to find out what gets in the way of Jane being happy. Because it's a child, it's not necessarily going to be able to give the answers to make Jane happy. So who do we go to? Well, then we might go to the higher self. And the higher self is that part of us, which I truly believe has been with us from lifetime to lifetime, who loves us, does not judge us, but will never give us the answers unless we ask.
Would you consider the higher self your soul?
It's part of the soul.
Part of the soul. Okay.
Yeah. So when I mentioned earlier about the voice dialogue, so then I would bring the higher self. One of the ways I would have the person relax, take a deep breath, and then I would say to Jane, Jane, I want you to leave and the higher self to come through now. After she's somewhat relaxed. So now the higher self comes through her body. Jane now is the observer. So I'll ask the higher self, well, thank you for coming here and sharing with us. It's so wonderful to meet you. So I would talk to them in a way that's receptive for the higher self. And then I'd say, well, Jane shared about, or the higher self, 5-year-old Jane shared about wanting the adult Jane to be happy. What do you think gets in the way?
Oh, cool.
And the higher self, well, maybe it would be, well, things happened to her when she was young and that stopped her. So what does she need to let go of? She needs to let go of not being enough. Well, what do we do with that? Well, one of the ways Jane needs to start paying attention, and so on and so forth. And we go from there.
So it sounds like you go through layers to try to help that person.
Not necessarily layers.
Okay.
It's when I get to the higher self knows what's in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So all I need to do is share and offer suggestions to Jane how she might do that along with the higher self. But I'm always thanking the higher self for showing up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if a person has a little difficulty with that, we may go on a journey too and have her meet the higher self or the inner child and then bring in the higher self.
Well, that's interesting because your audience, your person sitting with you has to be receptive to this. And they might not be comfortable with that. So tell us a little bit about like the journey that you might take someone on.
I mean, connecting to the higher self, you mean?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Well, I'll ask them. I'll explain to them before, such as what happened to me in the 70s in working with the inner child through voice dialogue. So I'll explain that ahead of time. And then I will ask them to take a deep breath, hold it, breathe, let go. And I can tell, let's say Jane is having a hard time.
Okay.
Jane, are you in control? Are you here or is the higher self here? so,
Mm-hmm.
so Jane might say, well,
It's
it's
me.
me. I said,
Uh-huh.
let's try it again. And often they get relaxed. They'll allow the higher self to come through. And even when the higher self, she's not sure, I'll talk to Jane as if the higher self is there already.
Okay.
And that works. So often I rarely have a hard time having the higher self come through the physical body.
Okay. And so that person that's experiencing it, they're talking, but it's the higher self talking.
Higher self.
So you're having a conversation with the higher self, although that person is listening and cognizant of what's going on.
Yeah, she's also observing and very aware of what the higher self is saying. So after we're done, I might say to the higher self, is it okay if I bring Jane back? And they'll say yes. So I'll say, higher self, thank you. Take a deep breath. Okay, I want you to leave now. And Jane come through now immediately.
Wow,
Bring
this is
Jane.
pretty cool.
So then I've done this, taking this a step further, since we're all connected. I had another woman come to me. She said, I need to know if I'm loved. I said, okay, good question.
If I'm loved?
If I'm loved.
Oh.
And she connects to Archangel Raphael. So I'll ask her, are you comfortable if I bring Archangel Raphael through your body? She said,
Oh,
okay.
that'd be so cool.
So what happens? I don't do this with everyone. I mean, to bring in a spiritual being, one has to be energetically ready for that. So let's say this woman's name is Francine. So I say, okay, Francine, get relaxed. And we'll do it a couple of times until she's relaxed. And then I'll say, Francine, I want you to leave and Archangel Raphael to come through now. Then I'll say, Archangel, and I can tell if Archangel Raphael is here. And we'll talk about love. So when she came back, she can never, ever doubt that she's not love anymore.
So when you recognize that Archangel Raphael or the higher self is there a physicalness that you see, or is that something that you feel?
Well, they're doing the work. I'm just the facilitator.
Yes, but you notice it changes.
Oh, I feel their changes,
You
sure.
feel it.
I
Okay.
can tell when somebody's there or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
The main thing with bringing in someone, their higher self or an angel or a different guide, spirit guide, I would like to get the person relaxed. And their eyes don't have to be shut. So we're not doing any hypnosis. There's no
It almost sounds
hypnotherapy
like
going on.
hypnosis, but it's not. It sounds like it. But I guess it's just that sense of being very relaxed and receptive.
Well, in hypnosis, when you're doing hypnotherapy, and I have done that in the past, the person you have to go to get them really relaxed. It's a different journey and it takes a longer time. So this way we get to the source quicker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So typically, um, I can see the steps that you're taking. What will the client notice? I mean, does this carry on, or do they pick that like that lady who didn't feel loved? Does that come
Wow.
back to her? Does she need a tune-up, or is it something that we're able to accept?
It's an excellent question.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I was kind of wondering what I was going to ask you today, but I figured
that's great. So
once you
part,
started
part of the,
talking.
you did well. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
But the journey, this is the journey. The journey
Hmm.
is to go within. That's it. Now that's simple and hard. So let's go back to the higher self. Let's say higher self tells Jane she needs to get in touch with her power. Okay,
Okay.
and what I found out, many women need to feel comfortable with that aspect of themselves.
Hmm.
So when little girls, they're growing up, no, be nice and don't cry and and all that. So one of the ways of going within is to start to pay attention. A simple way. So if someone asks you to do something, do you say yes? Because that's what's expected. So
Hmm.
by paying attention, start to go within and ask if this is really what I want to do. And I tell them, doesn't mean you have to act on it.
Hmm.
Start to be aware. And then what will happen? The energy will begin to shift as you start to go within and paying attention.
Oh, okay.
So pay attention. That's the journey. Here's something else. I had another woman I saw, and she said, and during our conversation, she said, a lot of people come by and they tell me I'm loving. And I said, oh, that's nice.
Hmm.
Why do you think they're telling you that? She goes, I don't know. I said, because you don't believe it in yourself.
Oh, she doesn't feel that she is loving.
So what that means, part of paying attention, if anyone draws the same energy or similar energy, or in dreams at night, spirit is asking you to pay attention. Is something you're supposed to learn. Always, it works. So I preface this, there is difficulty in paying attention because the mind is a trickster, like in Native American, they'll call coyote medicine. So it'll create its doubt based upon old habits and patterns.
Right.
And where
Right.
did that come from?
I so agree with that. Yeah.
So another aspect, well, is getting in touch with mom or dad who had the most influence in your life. So I use both spirituality of India and Western psychology together. So let's say we're going back to Jane. So we know Jane shut down at 5 years old. So I'll pick up, well, did your mom seem to have the most, you had the most difficulty with it, was your mom. So then we'll say, well, what would you want from your mom that would satisfy you? Oh, I wish my mom would recognize me. I wish she would pay attention to me more. Okay. And let's say your mom pays attention to you more and she recognizes you. What would that do for you that's positive? Oh, I think I could explore better. Oh, or maybe I'd feel that she trusted me. Oh, okay. Then what would that do for you that's even more positive than that? Well, I might be able to take risks. And what would that do for you that's even more positive? Oh, I wouldn't worry about if I failed or not. It would be something to that effect. So in the crux of that becomes their lesson. So many people say, oh, I drew my parents to myself. Not necessarily. Energetically, you set up the scenario for that energy, for that adult in your life or adults to best help you on your journey.
Right.
So another example, if I may, my father, he lost my mom when he was a young man. So he has two children, myself and my brother. So he was angry at God, angry at life, and so on and so forth. So when I became a preteen, he would always call me stupid every day. So being stupid, I could not become number one in sports because if I went up and became successful in the corporate world, people would not like me. So what I had to do, and then in fact, I got married, my last wife, I had to go to a church, get bread, milk, and butter to feed my stepkids. The lowest of the low for a male. So she finally left, not because I was a bad person, but spiritually, I was not on her level, let's say. I mean, I tried. So when we split, I needed to find out, well, who am I? What does it mean to be a man? By going deeper and deeper and deeper, it got me to do readings. If my father said he loved me, I would have never got here. So my
You would have
lesson in
never,
this,
wait. You would have never got here if he
I
had
would have
said,
never became a reader.
right. Okay, got
I
it.
would have never followed the path.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have these things, not to be punished. In the old ways, God will punish you. Jesus will punish you. Because I was brought up Christian. Be good. So God, which I 100% believe in, or you could call it whatever,
Many names.
many names.
Many. Mm-hmm.
God never judges us, loves us. And what's going on in the world, it's not God doing it. We partake in that which is coming about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got
No, no.
sidetracked about
Yeah.
the world.
So the other thing, many women, it's interesting. I get half of the women that I meet are empaths, believe it or not.
No, I would see you drawing those type of people to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the difference between an empath and intuitive. An intuitive will go and say, yeah, I get this gut feeling, or that doesn't feel right, or that person is blah, blah, blah. But an empath takes on the energy.
Mm-hmm.
So then they get caught up, well, not knowing that they are an empath, they get caught up with, oh God, what happened? What am I feeling this? And how come
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So I always suggest, well, get the Empath Survival Guide by Judith Orloff.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to get your boundaries set up.
Mm-hmm.
And every empath that I've met has a strong connection with nature,
Mm-hmm.
and many with trees
Mm-hmm.
and the elemental kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a great time to live. And bottom line, what does everyone want? They want to be free. They want freedom. Oh, I want to know that it's not important for me to be liked. It's not important for me to be affirmed. And it's not important for me to be accepted by others. When I do that for myself, I am truly free. So what happens? People go outside themselves consistently for the reflection of who they think they are.
How do they go outside of themselves?
How? By not paying attention.
Okay, you gotta explain that like I'm in kindergarten.
So the question is, how do they go outside of themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Well, based upon old habits and patterns. People don't pay attention. They just keep doing. They don't stop to feel, or they
Oh.
don't stop to think what's going on. What is the authentic self?
Mm-hmm.
So the way to do this again, to stop going outside of themselves, is to slow down, to pay attention, start to be aware. So another person I might have, I'll say, okay, look at the day. How was your day? Just write it down. Do some journaling.
Mm-hmm.
So when you write, it takes the energy out of the body and it has a place to go when you write. So write down your day. Then the second day, the third day, then look back at it. What made it good or what made it bad? Start to pay attention, start to think.
That's a good exercise.
Yeah.
That's a real good exercise. Because you're kind of removed from that and looking back and you can determine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good exercise.
So if I may go back to mom or dad who
Mm-hmm.
had that influence,
Mm-hmm.
after we do that exercise of what they were supposed to learn from their parent, usually it's a parent figure.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, write a letter, sit down, write how you felt as a child and what they projected upon you. So you write it down, and only had one person actually write their feelings and send a letter to their parent. But
Oh,
I'll
that we're
say,
still living?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say, write it down, put it in an envelope, send it back to yourself. So that's your symbol of letting go of the parents' hold on you, their energy hold. Then when you get that letter back, do a ceremony such as fire, burn it,
Burn it.
right? Fire is a great symbol for release. So what we're doing, we're consistently going within, releasing. So we have to do that primarily for many because, again, we're in the West. In spirituality, India is different than here.
Yeah, different philosophies and yes.
The first thing I do when I meet somebody, I look at their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me a good sense of where they are in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So another question, I'll look at somebody and I'll say, who are you?
I remember you doing that to Nadine and I. Mm-hmm.
and they may come up with X. Well, then while we're doing the session, I'll stop them in the middle. What did you just say? Oh yeah, I like harmony. You're harmonious or you're gregarious. Whatever it is, I may stop them just so they can stop, pay attention
And
to who you are. The positive things, not the negative.
right.
Only the positive. So that's primary the journey. I'm thinking of other things.
So
Right.
when people
The other big aspect I may have to use, depending on again where someone's at, I will say, what's anxiety? Oh, bear with me, I'll backstep.
okay.
When someone holds on to something, let's say guilt. I said, oh, what's positive about you holding on to guilt? Nothing. Oh, yeah, there is. You hold on to it to keep yourself safe. Safe from what? Well, if I beat myself up and tell somebody I'm not enough, if I feel that about myself, which that's what it means, you're never going to let anyone into your heart except on your terms. Or whatever anyone is holding on to. We do it for protection. We do it to be safe. Keep ourselves from not being vulnerable. Get hurt. Everyone does that. Again, it goes back to those three things. I need to be liked. I need to be accepted. I need to be affirmed. Always. And if they're holding on to whatever it is, worry, well, again, keep yourself safe. I don't think I'm enough. All right. So it all comes down to the heart. What we're really wanting to do is get to love. And where does love reside? It resides in the heart. But it's scary. It's scary for people because it makes them vulnerable. Makes them say, well,
Living from a place of vulnerability is very hard for people.
yes,
Very, very hard.
but you're here. It's interesting. Sometimes somebody will say, well, I don't want to come. I don't want to come. I'm sorry. I had perfect parents. I would, oh yeah? Well, why are you born?
Why are you born?
Why were you born? You came here to learn.
Yes. Okay.
Sometimes I'll feel somebody and say, you're not from here. You're from another realm. And I'm not talking flying saucers or the Greys with those alien species.
Oh, no. I didn't take it that way.
But for other people, let them know you came here to heal the planet. And the little kids, oh my God. Sometimes they'll look at me and I feel naked in front of them. Much more advanced than I am.
Wow.
And sometimes I tell a client that too. I said, you're more, you could do what I do and more.
Okay. So I kind of want to ask you, so people come and they would book a session with you. And how much time would do sessions normally take?
If they want to go on a journey and know their purpose, so I take them on a journey. I think I shared that with you in the past. Then that's at least half hour.
Okay.
If we're looking at going into all various aspects, an hour. And it's, of course, recorded.
Oh, that's good. So they can go back and listen to that.
Oh, that's important. And I'll tell them if something comes up and you don't understand, text me. I'm never going to charge you. Okay, just whatever that is.
Do you find that do you find that people need to come back and get cleaned up on a lot of things, or Can it be more succinct? I just don't know. I mean, how messed up are you? I don't know. Does that make sense?
And another good question.
Thank you.
I feel some do, some do not. The ones do not, it's like they get it, and then again, they keep going back to the routine.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I share things and it's recorded, the information they get, I share a lot. So it's very important to have it recorded. Then if they want to go deeper, well, then that's something else. Then I maybe do that voice dialogue, and have their guide come through. Or maybe I'll take them on a journey to meet their spirit guide. A lot of times I'll have people who they can feel their guide or talk to their guide, but they don't see them. So I used to do many spirit guide workshops where they could see their guide, get their gift, and ask the questions. They're pertinent questions.
I would definitely take that class.
I have one coming in February.
Okay. Now, I know that you are in my area, but you have your office
in
in
Salem.
So people
When
can.
I'm not at New Renaissance Bookshop on Northwest 23rd.
Do you do things at New Ren?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's even closer. That's kind of nice.
So I have to put in for I can put in for a spirit guide workshop there as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I'd like to address also, if I may, is worry. People worry about this, they worry about that. On this journey, I learned, you understand what the yin and yang is, the opposites?
Yes, I know. Yes.
We live in a duality.
Yeah.
Opposites. There's always, I mentioned, what was that? Bear with me. Ted Lasso. And I remember.
I have not seen Ted Lasso.
It's great.
That's what I've heard. I don't have Apple TV, so I haven't seen it.
Well, the interesting thing in that, and you can watch anything, there's always going to be an ebb and a flow. I'm happy, I'm sad, you hurt me, I love you. All the times the drama goes on and on and on and on. Mm-hmm. We, as a humanity, are caught in the drama. Or one might say Maya, or another way of saying the illusion. God, spirit, is above the illusion. God, spirit, angels, they're above the illusion and not caught in the drama. Mm-hmm. One way I found, without getting into too much detail, is to move in between the yin and the yang. Move past the drama. When one can move past the drama, then one can get the safety. There's some other aspects to that, but it's very powerful. The person who is ready and take the risk of doing so, I feel strongly that person, that individual, can go a long way on their spiritual path.
Awesome. I know from not now in this cycle of my life, but in my younger years, there were people that just thrived on drama. Thrived on it.
Yeah.
They would have a lot of clearing that they needed to do. Yeah.
When I get girls, young girls, especially teenagers, so I always have them pick, I showed you these cards by Hafiz. It shows up. And then we talk. So when I'm at New Renaissance, I'll sit on a stool. And people will come by and say, hey, do you want to pick a card? And they'll pick a card. It's exactly what they're supposed to get. And then we talk about it. and then we'll go deeper. So they can start to pay attention. They can step aside and not worry so much about how they're viewed or they're being picked on.
Oh, good. That helps them. I swear to
They need,
God.
they know
Have you been there for years?
New Renaissance?
Yeah.
10 years.
I swear to God, I have seen you there. I think I have.
Mm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if I may, a lot of times, and I do this 100% without any judgments, a lot of times people will go to an intuitive, they'll go to a psychic, or they get tarot readings and oracle cards or whichever,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to have hope, or they're curious,
Yes.
whatever the reason is. If that reader, that person, does not give them how to let go, the mind, again, being the trickster on old habits and patterns, is going to kick in, and they'll go through the same things over and over again. I feel very strongly about whoever the reader is to help that individual go within, get an understanding of why, to the best of their ability, get them to think of the reason this is happening, whatever their gifts are.
Well, I think that kind of is what sets you apart than the psychics or mediums or intuitives, is because you are taking people on an inward journey to get answers.
My teacher, and I'll show you him.
Okay.
So in 1970, when I was searching for the meaning, and I tried Buddhism. I had done drugs for a couple of years, and I knew drugs couldn't take me any higher. So I stopped, and I said, okay, so I tried Buddhism, transcendental meditation, Hinduism. So I'm walking down the street in Greenwich Village, and I pick up a paper, and there's this photo of, I don't know if you can see him.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Mayor Baba, don't worry, be happy. So I go there to a meeting, and I'm home, controllable laughter, out-of-body experiences. I go to India a few times, and he came, because there were a lot in my time, a lot of gurus, many.
Mm-hmm.
And he came for love. That's it. So it took me a while to trust him. So I have photos of him with his head touching the leper's feet, or he cleaned out the potties in India so his disciples would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I preface this, I could care less if anyone follows Meher Baba, or he doesn't care. The journey is the journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He was teaching his disciples also to go within.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's
Go within.
cool.
Our journey, my belief is, our journey is to go through, after evolution and reincarnation, we have these inner paths. The subtle world, the world of prana,
Mm-hmm.
where we experience ourselves purely as energy, but we take a human body as our vehicle to experience the various stages of prana, what he called the subtle world. And then the angelic realms, where one sees God in everyone and everything without getting too heady. The bottom line is, our journey is to become one without a second that we're God.
Wonderful. I know that you have some classes coming up.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Oh, yes. And I'll have the link to your website down below and any other link that you want me to put up there, so we can get your information out there and let people experience you.
In fact, I have the workshop, a past life and spirit guide workshop together in Salem. I got it on my website. And letting go releasing worry in March.
Okay, I'm going to go check those out.
Yeah.
I think I have a buddy who likes to go with me to these things that you met the other day. Robert, I want to thank you for coming on the channel. You have just, opened up my mind, which is good.
Thank you.
I like that. I like that a lot. Is there any parting thoughts that you have before we sign off?
Yes, you're mischievous.
What?
You're mischievous.
You told me I was playful. Now I'm mischievous.
Yeah, mischievous is playful. Same thing.
I don't see anything
It's
wrong
like,
with that.
oh, I see this, and you'll do something maybe just to make a shift in something through your play. But mischievous is like, ooh, I'm gonna, let's see how, like put your hand in the cookie jar even when you're not supposed to
Possibly.
get the reaction.
Yeah. I've always been, here's the line, don't step across it. You mean this line? As I step across it. But not in a bad way.
No,
In
you're
a
not.
mischievous way. A
No,
mischievous way. Yeah.
no, you're great, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. I love you also.
I love you. Yes,
So thank you for coming on.
of
And
course.
we're going to say goodbye for now, but stay on, even though we're saying goodbye to our audience. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you all are able to connect with Robert.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.